Howdy folks, this video has been long overdue and 4 years in the making, but the Jeep, dubbed black and blue for obvious reasons, is done. Well, at least done for now. It runs and it drives, so I am happy with that. Did a lot of work to it here in the last couple months, and I'm getting ready to move to South Dakota in 2 weeks, so this had to be together. Didn't really have a choice. I took out the extra long shackles in the front, went back to, I think it's a 3/4 lift, so not much, but a little bit, because those were actually cheaper than the stock height shackles, so that's what it's got in it. All new brake lines. I ended up putting one of the old seats back in it just so I can tool around in it. Don't have a lot finished up on it, still got some wiring work to do, but it's wired up so it runs. Got the 235 tires on it. I got the exhaust kind of finagled in there for now. I'm going to have to actually get mounts for it and figure out how to mount it so it clears the gas tank and then also provides enough clearance so it doesn't rub on my tire. New shocks in the back, and it actually rides pretty good with just new shocks in the back. Would eventually like to do new shocks in the front, but at a later time. Let's go ahead and pop the hood here. I got these at a Jeep swap meet for 10 bucks. I figured, what the heck, for 10 bucks. Be cool to have. Can't do this one-handed. Alright, up she goes. And it actually does not do too bad for a $70 or $90, whatever it was, carburetor. Runs pretty good. And I didn't have time to come up with an actual throttle cable setup, so I have the cable wired to the brake line with a spring to the master cylinder to give me my spring I need. Actually looks like a nut. I need to put a lock nut or something on there. But this is how I have my throttle worked up. It works, that's all I will say. I did add power steering to this when I had it apart because the manual gearbox was shot, so it was either replace it or upgrade it, so I upgraded it. Couldn't find the power steering lines I needed because of that radiator debacle down there to get the lines and everything to line up. I had an awful time, so I ended up getting, I think it's a return line for a 70 CJ, and the pressure line is for an 83 to 86 or something like that, and I had to do some manual bending to get it where it needs to go. And it's actually about a foot too long, so it goes underneath the oil pan and then back up and around, and yeah, it's not what it needs to be, but it drives, it works. Got a new radiator, but unfortunately, like most replacement generic things, a little modification is really what it needed, so I would have had to relocate these bolts, and I think it was a little deeper or something. There's something different about it. But the radiator hose, this one goes straight in the bottom. The replacement has the angle up like it should have, but I can't find the right replacement hose for down there to fit that angle to clear the power steering and the fan, and yeah, it was a mess. I didn't have enough time to deal with it. So something in the future. Let's see, what else did I do? I think it's really about all I've done to it besides put the tires back on it, the new shackles. All the U-joints and the drive shafts have been redone. The rear drive shaft, no, front drive shaft, ended up having to replace one of the ends because the splines were worn out, and whoever took this apart before didn't be very gentle with the yokes, and they bent the yokes all up, and I had trouble getting the clips in for the U-joints, so just ended up replacing the one end of the stub shaft. Let's see, waiting on the bushings to go in those hubs to replace the bearings, and yes, there are bearings in the hubs, not the spindle bearings, but the needle bearings in the hub. There's a gentleman out of Washington that makes them, so I'll put a bushing in there whenever those are available again. And my gas leaks when I put gas in it out of the little vent tube. It's not a very good setup, so it leaks around that little hose when I put gas in it. Other than that, I think that's about all there is to show. I have a little bit more fine-tuning to do to it. I got all my wiring prepped for my tail lights whenever I get to that point. And I don't know if it's because this Jeep was rolled so many times that the tub is crooked, but this fender does not line up. I have a gap here at the bottom But if you look at the body lines of this thing, none of them are straight. So this corner sits down just a little bit. So my front end isn't exactly straight, but neither is really the rest of the Jeep at all. Which is why I wasn't overly concerned about putting a lot of time and money into making this thing look pretty. I just wanted it to be functional and reliable. So that's where we're at. I just had it running a little bit ago, so we'll see if it'll start. I think I need to tighten up my power steering belt a little bit more, because when you gun it real quick, my belt's still slipping a little bit. But small adjustments, but major progress, so I'm pretty happy with it.